What is going on, everybody? It is Tuesday, September 9th. Welcome into this week's episode of The Walkthrough, presented by Tilly's Warehouse, located at 2000B Green Street, located right in the heart of 5 Points. Go there for all of your beverage needs. Welcome into this week's episode of The Walkthrough. Again, week 2 is upon us, or week 3, excuse me. Whoa, football lumping together here. Oh, my goodness. But 3 big things for week 3. How will the Gamecocks go about stopping Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt? Got a special guest to join me. Break down all things Vandy. What does the Gamecock offense need to do to get back on track? All of that with my guy, Jack Veltri of Gamecock Central. Plus, new segment coming up after Jack. We have the pulse of the fan base. Have 2 fans that I trust. Cut it to me the straightest. Full fan panel after Jack Veltri joins me again for 10, 15 minutes. This is The Walkthrough. Appreciate everyone joining. We got a fun episode tonight. So stay locked in. Stay where you are. This is The Walkthrough. Keep it going.
I guess you wonder where I've been. I searched to...
Yes, indeed. You're in the right place for all of your week 2 breakdown and your week 3 preview. Once again, this is The Walkthrough presented by Tilly's Warehouse. Joining me this week, one of my good friends. I've been trying to keep a pretty big pretty good running theme of having my friends on The Walkthrough this week. None other than Mr. Jack Veltri. Jack Veltri over there at Gamecock Central doing great things for Wes, Chris, Shu, the guys. Jack, how we doing this fine Tuesday evening?
Doing good, buddy. It's good to be back on here doing these.
Yeah.
Man, you and I, we did so many live streams together when we were both at GC. And, man, I miss the days. But it's I was telling you before, it feels like a mini GC reunion. So I'm glad to be doing this. Glad to be talking some Gamecock football with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Jack, appreciate you jumping on with me tonight. I told you we are talking mostly Vandy, so we're going to dive right into that. Will South Carolina's offense find itself? How will the Gamecocks get some consistency heading into Vandy? Because, again, Vandy, really tough matchup. Again, this isn't your daddy's Vanderbilt, if you will. Clark Lee's got the Commodores playing really good football, and, again, off the heels of a 34-point unanswered second half there to close the deal in Blacksburg last week.
Yeah, no, Vandy is coming in very hot into this game right now. Obviously, like you said, Joe, 44-20 win against the Hokies out in Blacksburg. And yeah, it's a tough environment to go into and win at dominantly. I mean, they were down by 10 points at halftime, and then they ended up scoring 34 points in the second half, shutting out Virginia Tech in the second half to win that game pretty easily. So, yeah, it's going to be tough, but the other thing is for South Carolina, it's at home. It's going to be a rocking crowd. We saw South Carolina Gamecock football put out the tweet today that it's going to be sold out. And unless there's some weather delay or anything, it should be rocking the entire night. So, I mean, look, going to Blacksburg is really tough. We all know that. Lane Stadium, Enter Sandman. But something about Willie B at night can be really tough. And this should be a game that, not saying South Carolina should win, but you feel pretty good about them even with some of the recent struggles.
Yeah, most definitely, Jack. Obviously, you were there during the rain delay and stuff like that. Certainly contributed to some of the inconsistency there on Saturday night. But again, here to talk Vandy. Diego Pavia and comes in. Obviously, we know everything about him talking all the smack. Jack, talking a bunch more smack this week. Do you think this defense and obviously, do you think this team is equipped to stop Diego Pavia and everything that he's been running his mouth to or saying that he's prepared to do on Saturday?
Personally, I love all this smack talk because, dude, it's making this game feel a lot more intense. Like there's a lot more on the line. Like you hear Vanderbilt players talking about today how, this is a different Vanderbilt team that they can beat South Carolina. Obviously, it all stems from Pavia saying on Bussin' with the Boys with Taylor Lewan and Will Compton that this is the game he has circled on the schedule. We even asked a few Carolina players about it today. Like Brian Thomas gave a really good answer. He can, Diego can have this game circled, but Carolina's focused on every single game on the schedule, and they're going to come and ball out in this game. So I have full confidence that this defense can go out there and stop Pavia just because they've already shown me that they can do it. Now, they went back to last year. You go back to last year in that game out in Nashville that helped South Carolina clinch bowl eligibility. They had a really good game against Pavia in what was Vanderbilt's worst loss of the season, a 28-7 defeat that we all remember. But, I mean, Pavia didn't throw a touchdown in that game. He threw for 166 yards. Granted, he was pretty good on the ground with 60-something yards and a touchdown. But that's where you probably have to stop Pavia the most is make him, throw the ball. He's got good receivers. He's got Eli Stowers. He's got Sherrill, some other good players out there. They've upgraded on offense. And that was the one thing Beamer was mentioning today is that they seem to really like throwing the deep ball a lot more. So that can be concerning when you look at the secondary and the issues that they've had there with those 50-50 balls and one-on-one matchups. But I will say the fact that they've already proven that they can go out there and shut down Pavia in some respects, I think is a good sign. I'd be a lot more worried if he ran all over them last year and did some really good things. But you've shown that you could stop him and you get this game at home this year. That should really help.
Yeah, most definitely, Jack. The Gamecocks looking to make it 17 straight against Vanderbilt, a streak that, as Shane mentioned today, they're not really paying attention to, but I'm sure a lot of people in Nashville and underneath Clark Lee are circling. They're trying to get the monkey off their back, if you will. That is South Carolina, and as you can read the headline, Jack, this isn't your daddy's Vanderbilt. Like I said, Clark Lee and Diego Pavia have this thing completely revamped as we're going into the thick of 2025 here. Obviously off the heels of the big win against Alabama last year. So this Vanderbilt team is shaping up to be one of the better teams on the schedule, Jack.
Yeah, no, this is definitely not your daddy's Vanderbilt at all, bro. Like, this is going to be a team that is coming in here hot. Like I said, man, they went to Blacksburg and they won. It may not sound impressive because Virginia Tech just isn't very good this year. But again, they went into what is considered one of the crazier environments in the sport, and they dominated. Again, I don't care who it's against. They did that. That is something that you have to take note of for sure. And yeah, I mean, look, they won 7 games last year. They surprised a lot of folks, including myself. And yeah, Carolina beat them pretty handedly, but it's not like it was easy necessarily. Like, Vanderbilt is a much different football team than they were 2, 3, 4 years ago. I mean, Pavia really is the straw that stirs the drink there, for better or for worse. With the attitude he has, the swagger. I mean, you love a guy that plays confident.
Right.
That's exactly what he is. Like, when he's talking on Paul Feinbaum about winning national championships and this and that and how dead serious he is about it.
Right.
It sounds crazy to us because we're so used to Vanderbilt being awful and terrible. But seriously, they are a threat to Carolina. And the way they played last week out at Virginia Tech makes it feel a lot more challenging this week. And honestly, you could say the same thing about Missouri too. So this is supposed to be the easier part of your conference schedule before LSU gets here, and then it really picks up after that. But Vanderbilt, they're going to be a tough out this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely, Jack. I think this is one of the games where you have to check every box, right? You got to be uber disciplined. Against SC State, South Carolina was undisciplined. They didn't find as much consistency offensively, and we're going to get to, I guess, breaking down both sides of the football here in a second. But I think it was a consistency thing for South Carolina and Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt. I mean, especially 34 unanswered points and 199 rushing yards all in that second half against Virginia Tech is nothing to shake a stick at, like you were mentioning. Like, 34 points, that's legit. And to do it again without allowing a touchdown in response up there at Blacksburg shows that they're in sync. They're ready to go. And if Vanderbilt can bring down the same kind of energy as they had in that second half, this might be a long day for South Carolina on Saturday.
Totally. I think there's a few things that you have to look at with this Carolina team that they got to be better in to win this football game. Number one, the offense has got to be more efficient. The run game has been kind of a bit of an issue. You had 41 yards combined on the ground between Oscar Adaway and Rasul Faison. Those are supposed to be your 2 lead backs. Right. The offensive line, I don't think the O-line has been they have not been good. But I can tell you, man, like, watching back some of the plays they had on the 2 touchdowns specifically from over the weekend, the blocking was pretty good. So they're not a lost cause. Case and Henry, Trobo on the right side are doing a good job. I even think Boaz Stanley was a little bit better in this game. It's just the left side. I think that needs to be a little bit more consistent. I have not seen enough from Josiah Thompson. Shed Surratt got the start the other day, but it's only 1 game. We'll see how he does moving forward if he starts again this weekend. The blocking's got to be better because I say that with the run game, it kind of just goes hand in hand. If you are able to run the football, that means you're creating holes on the offensive line. And also, you got to give Sellers a lot more time to throw. So the offense is number one, but also you look at the defense. You can't get burned in the secondary. You can't be losing the 50-50 balls that have hurt you so much. Vanderbilt likes to throw the ball deep. That's where it could potentially hurt you. Hopefully, Carolina's defense is able to come through.
Yeah, absolutely. And going into this one, certainly a 180 from the beginning of the season. Carolina's defense almost took that touchdown, the no touchdown streak into Vandy. I think they were really, really close, but again, got away from you there at the end of the SC State game. But to be playing as well as the South Carolina defense is pretty impressive considering the the roster turnover that they had at the beginning of the year. So hat tip to Clayton White, certainly. And it's the offense typically, as we are with these Beamer teams, as Tyler had pointed out on the radio today. The offense is usually a little bit behind the defense, and still working on consistency. Jack, I know you brought up the blocks and stuff. I think the blocking too needs to find consistency, like just repetition, right? They need to get on the same page, because I think against SC State, it wasn't the fact that they weren't hitting the blocks; it was the time that they were hitting the blocks, right? There were a couple of blocks, rotating wide or the wide receiver in motion, sealing the edge would sometimes be late. It's just a rhythm thing, I think, with the blocking and whatnot. And you asked a really good question today about the offensive line not being able to hear. I'm interested to get your take on that. Like, are these guys struggling to hear their quarterback at home?
Man, it's caused quite the stir on Twitter, man.
Right. That's not a good thing. If they can't hear at home, like somebody's got to speak up.
Much less against SC State, where it wasn't even a full crowd. Think about how Saturday is going to be for a second. It's going to be rocking 7:45 p.m. I get it. It's loud out there, but you have to be able to communicate. You have to be able to hear what the play is, because look, you're going to be playing at LSU this year. You're going to be playing at Ole Miss, Texas A&M, some of the really tough environments in this sport. You're going to Missouri next week under the lights. Like, if you think it's tough now hearing, wait till you go to Baton Rouge under the lights at Death Valley. That's going to be a real struggle for sure. So Carolina, the way that Shane Beamer and the players, Case and Henry, Boaz Stanley kind of mentioned it today, was that was a main focus of practice, was communication. So that means Lenore Sellers speaking up. That means Boaz is the starting center speaking up, making sure everybody on that O-line, all five guys, relay the information of what play is being called to one another. Because, again, it's not like they are wearing the green dot, the communication device. That's Lenore's. So you're going to have to be able to really do a better job of communicating and making sure everyone knows their assignments, because if not, it screws you up.
Yeah, most definitely. And, Jack, way to get to the bottom of that. We were sitting in studio listening to it. It's like, whoa, this isn't good. If they can't hear each other, and this, obviously, as you mentioned, it's kind of taken on a life of its own. I think it comes down to 16, right? I think Lenore's, and this is something for him to tune up this week. Like, it's another, test for him, I guess, as a leader or something. Like, communication typically comes up throughout the year, and it's on the quarterback mostly. And certainly Boaz too, as the center and the leader of the offensive line, to make sure that this is not an issue here going forward. It's like I don't know if it goes to speaking a little louder or what.
The biggest concern, I think, from today, and it was just Case and Henry just mentioning it, that there were about 6 or 7. There were about 6 or 7 calls. Someone replied to my comments with that today, so I thought it was so funny. But there were about 6 or 7 calls where they just didn't hear it. And that's a problem. And Beamer also mentioned the fact that they've been using the verbiage with different words for years now. It's like 1 or 2 words that that he thinks the players should be able to understand, but for whatever reason they're not. So again, the fact that happened at the SC State game, where by halftime it's already half empty, that's really, really concerning. So you hope that they can figure out this issue. Again, I don't know how you prepare for it with 80,000 screaming fans and a sold-out crowd in the SEC. But you have to figure it out. Otherwise, you're going to be lost and confused.
Yeah, absolutely, Jack. That issue has to be squashed going into Vandy. And mainly that's really the only issue for the offense. It's just consistency, communication are the main things. Like we've saw, and granted, like it was a little bit slower to get started against SC State, but we've seen the good in this offense already. I think we just need to see, consistent, I guess, if you will, 90 minutes, from this offense. This defense, on the other hand, Jack, this defense has been playing some really, 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 really good football. Fred Johnson been the leader of the pack, if you will, as a true freshman, leading the team in tackles in his debut was pretty impressive. Jack, walk me through what you think this defense is going to do on Saturday. You think they're going to stay hot, and will they be able to do enough to, allow this offense to, I guess, close the game out or do what they need to do to get the win?
Stop the run first and foremost. That's always priority number 1, regardless of who you're playing. In this case, you have to also stop a mobile quarterback like Pavia, who it kind of gives you that Johnny Manziel vibe a little bit from back when we were younger. So
big time, yeah.
For sure. Like that's the comparison I think a lot of people bring up. The other thing is, and I mentioned it before a little bit briefly, Joe, is the offense for Vanderbilt likes to throw the ball around the yard a little bit more. So Pavia's got his boys back. He's got more receivers to work with. That's where I'm concerned because it's not just the receivers. You have Eli Sowers too, his go-to target from New Mexico State, who is back for another season. He's the tight end for them. Really big dude, really good player. I wonder who's going to be covering him and how are you going to be able to stop the passing attack? Because there were so many times in the Virginia Tech game 2 weeks ago where Kyron Jones would throw up a bunch of deep balls and Carolina would just get beat. And not beat necessarily, but they would lose the one-on-one battle. The coverage would be fine. Like Brandon Cisse made a few nice pass deflections to knock the pass down. But there were times where it's like the coverage would be fine. They'd play up close, but they weren't getting turned around enough, or Virginia Tech would just make a better play. That's kudos to the receivers there. But then even this past weekend against SC State, a lot of balls over the middle, just short yardage where SC State is picking up a third down conversion. And it's like, why is Carolina not playing a little bit closer onto that guy in the man-to-man coverage that they play? So point is, it's got to be better. It's got to be cleaner. You're able to stop the run. That forces Pavia to throw the ball more, which is inherently pretty good. But it does not make a difference if your defensive backs are not going out there and doing what they're supposed to do. And hopefully they're all healthy this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we will get an injury report. I don't think Shane's going to give, like, for the guys that are questionable, I think they're going to leave him questionable.
He didn't even mention it much at all today. He just said that they're heading in the right direction. And again, he mentioned it the other day that everyone probably should be able to go. But again, we will see what the injury report reveals when it comes out tomorrow night, which is typically around 8:00.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the benefit of, having an SEC game this week. As Florida and Texas both, or I think, Texas has a couple weeks till they have an SEC game. We're not going to know the health of Arch Manning until then. Even though Sark today did a really good job of trying to bat that one away. As soon as, that got ass craziness down there in Austin. And thankfully that problem is not happening in Columbia. Nobody's really watching Lenore Sellers and being like, why is he wincing when he's throwing? Thankfully, not a problem, knock on wood, as we mosey on. Jack, again, if they do stop the run and are able to contain Pavia, what's, I guess, the biggest thing for this defense to kind of watch out for outside of the run game and the obvious, the quarterback? What does this defense have to do for you to be like, whoa, this defense is different? They're the same as, the Clayton Whites of old, if you will, and just impress you after this week?
It really, again, I've said before, it really is just slowing down Diego Pavia. This has got to be the biggest challenge that Carolina will face for a little bit here, in that Diego's not just a good runner, but he can also throw the ball. So, he's gotten off to a really nice start this year. I think almost 500 yards through the air, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick. He's taking good care of the football, and he always has. His interceptions were down a lot last year, I think down to 4 with 20 touchdowns. So he's going to be a threat in both ways. And if Carolina is able to replicate what they did last year against him, I'm like, all right, I am sold on this defense being what I think they are, because they are a good group. And I think they have a chance to be potentially better than last year, because you look at it, 11 tackles for loss through 2 games, a lot of sacks to go around. This is a good group. And yes, it's Virginia Tech, and yes, it's SC State, but they're doing a good job. And I don't care who it's against. Vanderbilt hasn't played anyone besides, they went to Virginia Tech, but I think they also played Alcorn State. So we're making comparisons with tomatoes and oranges here. It's really not that big of a deal. I think South Carolina is doing a good job right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that is Jack Veltri of Gamecock Central. Jack, before I let you go, plug everything, let the people know what's going on. And yeah, let them know what's up, as I do with everyone that comes
on. Man. Well, I appreciate you reaching out and having me on, man. It's good to talk and chat up with you again. But yeah, man, if you guys want to follow me, Jack T Veltri on Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, JCKTVELTRI. Go to GamecockCentral.com. We got plenty of good coverage over there. Football, obviously, recruiting, lots of different things. Come join us. It's a good time over there right now. And I got a lot of good content coming out. And and also follow us on our YouTube page, Gamecock Central. Got the GC Live going on over there, the behind the scenes vlogs, all that sort of stuff. Plenty of coverage to go around on social media, YouTube, video, writing, obviously. So, but appreciate you having me on, big dog.
Yeah, fun stuff, Jack. We'll definitely get you on before the season's over. And appreciate you joining me on this Tuesday night, taking some time out of your evening. Jack Veltri, the man, the myth, the legend. Get him over there at Gamecock Central. Appreciate him joining us this evening. Moving on into a little segment, so we're starting a fan panel on the show, which is so fun. Have two guys ready to go, Mr. Gamecock Retweeter and Mr. Morgan from Twitter. Two guys I've gotten to know pretty decently well with after, I guess, just being in media, engaging with this fan base on social media and everything. Two of the guys I think shoot it the straightest. So without further ado, here is this week's the first ever Pulse of the Fan Base, presented again by Tilly's Warehouse, 2000B Green Street. Check it out, this week's Pulse. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into this week's episode of The Walkthrough, presented by Tilly's Warehouse, located at 2000B Green Street, right in the heart of 5 Points. Go there for all of your beverage needs. Joining me now are my two guests for a brand new segment to The Walkthrough, starting it this season. Guys, I wish we had a little bit more positive things to talk about. That was at least the plan after coming in after SC State. But joining me now are Morgan and Mr. Gamecock Retweeter. It is my pleasure to welcome my two guests on the fan panel, Mr. Gamecock Retweeter and Morgan. How you guys doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Glad to join it.
Yep.
Doing well, man. I appreciate the invite. Happy to be here and happy to be 2-0. We'll get into it, but happy to be 2-0 ultimately.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. Retweeter starting us off with some positivity, and that's probably a good way to look at this one. Obviously, South Carolina struggling a little bit with SC State. 2 first-half touchdowns, both coming on defense and by way of Veltri Swain. But, guys, what are your initial takeaways from this one?
Ultimately, I kind of just said it. I'm happy to be 2-0. I mean, these games, man, are so tough to judge going into it, so tough to judge coming out of it. And then you mix in a 2.5-hour delay. Right. And then you just simply don't play well in the first half on offense. I thought outside the obvious of Veltri Swain looking like a different breed out there, I thought that the O-line needs a lot of work. It looks atrocious. It looks bad.
Yeah.
I know we started a different 5, not a totally different 5, but I think we mixed in Shed there, right?
Mm-hmm.
There were some bright spots. There were some really not very bright spots. But ultimately, the way I look at this game is we played very well in 2 out of 3 facets of the game.
Mm-hmm.
If we do that through 12 games, we're going to have a pretty good season. Defense travels. I'm not, when you go to Missouri, that defense is only giving up 1 touchdown all year. It's going to travel with you, right? If our defense can just keep us around and get this offense clicking by week 3, 4, 5, I'm not ready to just say that this is a 7-5 team, 8-4 team like some people are saying right now. Are we top 10 in the country right now on paper? Yeah. Should we be? I don't know. Probably not. But we'll find out. But all in all, man, happy to be 2-0. A lot of things to clean up, but if you look across the landscape of college football yesterday, there was a lot of teams that struggled, and if they played better teams, they would have lost. So
that's a good point. Good point. Mobo, how are we feeling about it?
Yeah, well, Brad Treater took everything I was pretty much about to say, but yeah, man, I'm just happy to be 2-0, like he said. Yeah, it wasn't pretty at times, but like he said, a lot of other teams struggled, and we could have lost at the end of the day. So thank God for Beamer Ball once again. Special teams coming through. Veltri giving that spark. He's the most electric player in the country right now. I mean, nobody's doing that. But yeah, man, I'm just happy to be 2-0, and I'm hopefully we can tweak some of these things, especially on the offensive line. We gotta play better on the offensive line, no doubt. But yeah, just ultimately happy to be 2-0 and hoping to get some things straight before we get into SEC play.
Yeah, most definitely. I agree, guys. I think the offensive line needs some work. That was a game where you kind of had to piece some things together and really would hope to take a lot of momentum into Vandy. But, I mean, SC State was getting all kinds of different pressure all night and, backing this offense up a little bit more than we thought. But, again, I think, Mr. Retweeter made a good point. You guys made a good point there. Like, with the delay and everything, it does throw off the whole game plan and certainly, lowers, the intensity level. I think these guys, had a bunch of intensity coming in. But then when you get it delayed like that, it's hard to, not take SC State lightly as much as you want to say it's a big game. You got to win it and still, stay 2-0. But at the end of the day, guys, 2-0. heading into Vandy. Guys, what was some good from this game that you guys can take forward and something that gives you guys some hope, I guess, rolling into Vandy?
I like seeing mainly just Lenore's connecting with a bunch of different receivers. I feel like he's doing good distributing the ball. I mean, it's kind of hard to, I feel like at times he did get some happy feet, but, you can't blame him when he's getting pressure in his face that often. But, yeah, I like, like I said, the way he's distributing the ball. Special teams continues to shine. And like Retweeter said, if we can continue to at least do 2 out of the 3 good, then we'll be doing all right.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot of times last night, we were just hell bent on establishing the run. Like no matter what was like, we were going to run the ball. Even if you look at that first drive coming out of halftime, I think we ran it 2 or 3 straight times with Faison. Coming out of half, we were just, and I don't know if that was the game plan, if that was we're not going to show a lot on paper. We're keeping this thing vanilla. Whatever. I don't know what it was.
Right.
But I say all that to say that I want to see some things open up a little bit next week. It seemed like in Atlanta, we started off throwing the ball to tight ends. And I don't know if we just didn't call that last night or the offensive line just didn't perform on those plays. So we just didn't see them develop. But so it'd be interesting to see kind of what the play calling looks like next week. I'm not ready to say that, Mike Schuler's can't call a good game. I'm not there yet, but I do want to see it open up some. I will say that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the game plan going in is obviously you don't want to open up the playbook too much. You don't want to put too much on tape going into conference play. But I think that was the plan. We wanted to just keep it simple, but we couldn't keep it. I mean, we couldn't perform simple things. I know people are saying we didn't want to open the playbook, but my concern is if we can't do the simple things efficiently, Yeah. So yeah, we just we got bullied a little bit on the line of scrimmage. That was my concern, but hopefully, like I said, we can get things going.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, hat tip to SC State too. They went to the Celebration Bowl last year, and I think it's always a good, FCS opponent that South Carolina can bring up here. And yeah, they were getting a good push on the line of scrimmage. But I mean, when you're playing basics football, right? Try to just do the little things right. Run the football, get it up and down, and connect, with your receivers and everything like that. It feels like, you should be doing the little things right, and it should look easy to a team like this. But again, you struggled there, hopefully can flip it on over to Vandy next week. Vandy comes in after taking care of Virginia Tech 44-20. Diego Pavia brought him back 34 unanswered points in the second half to get the job done. This is a dangerous Vanderbilt team, guys. And I know we could have had this segment, last week after the win in Atlanta. That was on me. But also, too, want to get your guys' take. This is a big SEC clash. Both teams coming in red hot. How do you think this one is going to go down?
I'm just hoping we keep the streak alive at the end of the day. But Vanderbilt is definitely not the Vanderbilt that they used to be. They're no pushover. They're going to come in here fired up. I mean, you see what they did on the road in Blacksburg. So, I mean, Pavia is a good quarterback. I know he likes to talk a lot, but I mean, I can respect that he's a gamer, man. He'll put his life on the line for that team. But we definitely have to get some things cleaned up, man, if we want to come out with a victory.
Yeah, I think we'll see a different team next week. Vandy's a very good team. Extremely concerned. You have to get ready for them. You have to prepare for them, et cetera, et cetera. But I like where we stand with them mentally, with the streak, right?
Yep.
We seem like we like to do this sometimes. I mean, you guys remember the reactions after Old Dominion last year?
Yeah.
They're kind of similar. If I'm not mistaken, I think we went on the road and beat Kentucky pretty handily. Or was it right after that or 2 weeks after that? Anyways, so I'm kind of thinking the same thing. Yes, we got to get things cleaned up. Yes, our trenches have got to get better. I don't think we necessarily blow Vandy out, but I think we'll be okay. I think we'll win somewhere in that 7 to 9 range, a touchdown to 10 points range. I just think our defense is really, really good, and I think we'll see a different Lenoris, a different offense all the way around.
Yeah, absolutely. And great point there, I guess, too, coming off of the heels of the Old Dominion game last year, again, it wasn't exactly everything that you wanted. And, I was talking about this too, with a couple friends too. I feel like, everyone in the lead up to this week, thought that Norris was going to get pulled by halftime, and I was kind of just like, that's a little ambitious, especially after seeing what UTSA did to A&M. Like, you can get an SEC or an FCS school up here that will make an SEC team or force an SEC team to compete a little bit more, and saw that last night. So I don't know. I think, this Vanderbilt game is going to be an interesting test for the guys. I don't know. Pavia, you made a good point there, Mo, too, about, Pavia talking all this smack. I think it revitalizes his team, too, to Mr. Retweeter's point there. I think we see a different team. And, again, I think the delay kind of softened the blow, softened some of the intensity that South Carolina was going to bring out last night. It's easy to sit there and realize what you have to go do, or to kind of lower your expectations, be like, all right, yeah, it's only SC State. Like, we got this. I think, having all week leading up to the Vandy game, Diego Pavia running his mouth and running around like he did in Blacksburg. I think there's going to be a lot more added motivation to this one, fellas. Don't you think?
Yeah, I would. I know it wasn't a bad shot, but I would be taking that circle comment, and it'd be playing on repeat in the locker room, So, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and as much as we, don't, or talk about the offensive line looking bad last night, we had 4 sacks last night. So kudos to the D line for, and I don't know how many hurries. I'd have to go back and look, but a lot. There's quite a few that we just didn't quite get home. So I think we'll put a lot of pressure on Pavia. He's a good player. He'll make plays. And we just have to make sure he doesn't make plays in the times that mean the most, right? And so it'll be a good game.
Yeah, most definitely. And, you guys made a good point there. I think the defense looks good too last night. I think, the one thing that's remained consistent, at least through these first 2 weeks, and sure, you gave up a couple plays, but still holding them to, I guess, 10 points. You probably would have rather, hoped to keep the touchdown streak alive going into Vandy. That would have been something to hold your hat on. But, boys, this defense has looked pretty darn good, all things considered, considering the gaps that this team was supposed to have, and everybody that they lost to.
Yeah, the defense is definitely there's definitely still very solid. I was in the offseason, I was a little concerned about our defensive tackles, but I mean, even them, Barrett stepping up, Goodwine, Brownlow, Dindy, he's got a mean streak to him, dude. I went to the game in Atlanta and I keyed in on him for one play, and he is violent with his hands, dude. Like, he's a beast when he wants to be. So, and the young linebackers, man, Justin O, Sean Murphy, Fred Johnson is the next great at linebacker. He is a stud. But yeah, those guys are still a very good unit, and yeah, they're definitely really good.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on everything good. Just to touch on maybe the not so good, we got to get healthy in the secondary.
Yeah.
I believe, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that Beamer came out this afternoon and said that everybody should play next weekend. I believe is what he said.
Yeah.
So that's a great sign. Because I think we were down to cornerback 4 at one point last night.
Yeah.
So, and that wasn't because we were winning by a lot, right?
Yeah.
So outside, if we can get healthy in the secondary over this next few days, I'd feel much, much better for sure. Because you nailed it, man. The linebacking crew might be the best linebacking crew we've had in many, many years. They look very fast. They look very aggressive.
And that's saying a lot coming off of last year, because last year's core was, that was one of the better ones we've had in years. And I know a lot of people thought those guys were going to fall off, but they're definitely, so far, I mean, I know it's only 2 games, but you can't deny strength and athleticism and quickness. Sideline to sideline, those guys are flying all over the field. So definitely been pleased with the linebacking core.
Well, that's just it. You can't, no matter who you're playing, that's going to stay, right? And that's going to travel with you, that speed, that athleticism. And every defense that's good at Carolina flies to the football. And this seems to be one of those defenses that flies to the football. I think we had 4 guys going after that fumble on the sideline last night. Right. And so that's great to see. So hopefully we get healthy. If we can get healthy, I feel really, really good about Clayton White's defensive unit.
Yeah. Absolutely. You guys hit the nail on the head there. Obviously, this linebacker room, I certainly didn't expect this. I knew Fred was going to be a freak, but this defense really does fly to the football. They look, like they haven't missed a beat from last year. And, that's kind of a surprise considering everything that they've lost. And Mobo, you brought it up too. I think the linebacking crew from last year, everyone was like, oh my gosh, like how are they going to replace that? And well, they did with a true freshman and Fred, who's been unbelievable. And Mr. Retweeter, making a great point there too. You got to get the secondary healthy. And I know that they were probably being a little overcautious again, trying to get down to the 4th, the fourth cornerback or everything. Like you take your bumps and bruises, but as soon as somebody gets one in that game, you're probably pulling them with hopes not to lose them for the next couple weeks. But yeah, got to get them healthy because that's a good room in there too. And they got the blessing of Stephon Gilmore and before the season, and Torian Gray's been talking about that room really well. I think if they're healthy, they do a lot of good things. Gentlemen, before I get you guys out of here, the new AP poll is out. South Carolina ranked 11. They dropped a little bit, obviously with a little bit of struggle, and brings up an intriguing matchup again with Vandy next week. How do you guys feel about the new ranking at 11?
I'm honestly surprised that we only dropped one. We did win at the end of the day, so we're not going to drop too much. But I figure they would have dropped us back a couple more spots. But I'm glad to still be in the top 12, man. We just got to keep winning, stay in that top 12, and they can't deny us.
Yeah, actually, I agree with you, Morgan. But once the coaches poll came out and we got into the top 10, I was like, okay, well, then maybe we won't drop in the AP. But we're getting the benefit of the doubt of being ranked up there preseason, which is fine. Other teams do it all the time, right? We see it with Bama and Georgia and all these teams every single year. So it's our turn to get that benefit of the doubt. So I'm okay with it. I don't think we don't really know what the top 20 really looks like right now. We'll know a lot in 2-3 weeks. But hopefully we're staying focused, not even looking at that stuff in the locker room.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, boys, it's been a pleasure. Appreciate you guys joining me. I'm going to let you guys plug your socials as I do. I let every guest plug their socials, let everyone know what's going on, what's up with you guys. And yeah, heck yeah, pretty good start to the Pulse of the Fan Base segment. Thank you guys for joining the panel.
I said, yeah, this Morgan Mobo 1080 on Twitter. A lot of y'all know me in a couple group chats, but yeah, man, I had a great time, and I really hope we can do it again soon.
Yeah.
Gamecock retweeter, Brad Sales 312. I just retweet a bunch of stuff, man. I'm just an old guy that retweets a bunch of stuff, like having fun with you guys on X, on Twitter. So appreciate you having me on, man. This was fun. I agree with Morgan. This was a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that will do it for the Pulse of the Fan Base segment, and back to your regularly scheduled walkthrough programming. Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate the guys joining me for the Pulse of the Fan Base segment. Again, talking with Morgan Mobo on Twitter and Mr. Gamecock retweeter. You guys know them. If you were on X, Twitter, whatever it is, if you've been around the fan base for long enough, you kind of know who those guys are. So going to be a weekly segment with those two guys. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. They're going to join me every week to kind of break down, I guess, the fan perspective of things. Even though, to walk through everything, we're doing the podcast, hosting the podcast, doing all that. We got two guys that are, at least from my experience, they've shot it to me the straightest when it comes to how the fan base feels about everything going on within Gamecock Athletics. So super pumped to have those guys aboard, all season long to be checking in with after every South Carolina football game. And then I don't know what we're going to do for winter, but again, should be a whole lot of fun. Keep them involved, keep them talking about South Carolina sports, where everything's at and how the fan base feels. So, as we usually do, close out the episode, sprint to the finish, quick hitter topics from around sports. I want to show love where love is due, and that is Columbia, Missouri. I don't know if anyone saw the guy who, he kicked was kicking a 45-yard field goal, I believe, against it was Kansas. It was a fan for a kicking competition where if he made a 45-yard field goal, he would win $20,000, something like this. And so I'm pulling up the video here now. This guy rocks basically. What he does instead of, going for the 45-yard field goal. No. This guy turns and kicks it towards the Kansas bench, right? I'm sure you guys saw this of the guy, completely turning around and kicking the ball towards the Kansas bench. That is what college football is all about. So hat tip to that guy, especially on the sprint through, something to talk about, I guess, with that. But, to this story, I guess, with the fake or the faked, kicking contest kick, this guy, so not only, number one, he kicks it towards Kansas's bench, starts walking towards him like, what's up? What's up, dude? Like, what's up? Like, very, very, very home field advantage kind of thing. Like, hey, you're on our turf. Like you guys came up to Como. Not only does he do that, but two, he's an amputee, right? So also, he played on the United States Olympic Special Olympic wheelchair basketball team. So add that into the mix, right? But then he lifts up his shirt, says FKU on it, and really good stuff there. Again, just taunting Kansas, and electric stuff out of Missouri, right? Because you don't get to see a whole lot of stuff like that in college football, and it is what makes college football so great. So hat tip to the former Special Olympian again up there in Columbia, Missouri, again, for the border war for Missouri, again, getting a comeback victory against Kansas, keeping South Carolina's schedule, strong as heck. But yeah, that was my sprint to the finish, my main one. The one I had it circled. If you haven't seen the clip, go find it. It's worth watching. I'm trying to pull it up again, or couldn't find it, at least on Twitter within like my quick Google, or whatnot. So maybe I'll have the clip next week. Maybe we'll work it into an intro video or something like that, so you guys don't miss it next time. But yeah, appreciate everyone joining me on tonight's episode of the walkthrough. Again, first ever edition of the fan panel, the pulse of the fan base with Morgan and Mr. Gamecock retweeter. Then also had the good friend Jack Veltri on. Veltri's the man. Appreciate him joining me. And again, getting to the bottom of the offensive line issues for you over there at Gamecock Central. So appreciate everyone joining me tonight. And yeah, we will see you next week. Thank you. This has been the walkthrough presented by Tilly's Warehouse.